The twins' legacy. A love born of loss opening hook. A shared grief, get ready for the drama. If you believe in miracles, unbreakable bonds of blood, and that love finds its way. Like this video right now, subscribe to our channel to keep believing in new beginnings, and comment your first impression. The rain fell softly on that Sunday afternoon in St. Agnes Cemetery, like a whisper from the heavens. Allison Allie Reed paused at the rusted gates, a small bouquet of wildflowers clutched in her arms. For the past 4 months, every single Sunday, she had walked this path, alone, quiet, and with a heavy heart. The name on the tombstone called to her like a thread she could never release. Elise Beller. Allie had found the name in a yellowed, ancient newspaper clipping detailing a tragic accident. Elise Beller, 29. Deceased. A photo accompanied it. Allie froze, staring. The exact same face, the same eyes, the same mouth. And then a name surfaced from the depths of her forgotten childhood. Elise, my sister. Now, Allie knelt, brushing aside the rain and leaves from the carved letters. She whispered, barely audible, "Hello, Elise. I'm sorry I'm late. I hope these are still your favorite." Just as she leaned down to place a worn photograph of 2 small twin girls against the headstone, a voice cut through the air. "That's my wife's grave." Allie spun around. A tall man in a dark coat was staring at her with piercing eyes. Beside him, a small girl with a star-patterned umbrella watched her without blinking. "Who are you?" the man asked in a measured voice. "I'm Allison Reed. Why are you leaving flowers here? Did you know Elise?" Allie swallowed hard. I believe she was my sister. My twin." The man's face tightened. "No, that's impossible. I grew up in foster care. I never knew her last name until recently. I've been looking for her for years." The man, Jamie Sterling, CEO of Sterling Bioventures, looked at Allie harshly. "You expect me to believe that?" "It's not a game," Allie said, her voice barely above the sound of the rain. "I just wanted to say hello and goodbye." The little girl, Skylar, moved closer to her father. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging his coat. "She looks like Mommy." Jamie blinked. Confusion. Fear. "I don't know what you're playing at, but if this is some kind of trick..." Allie didn't respond. In that moment, Skylar stepped closer and gently touched the petals of the wildflowers. Her eyes, so wide, so familiar, met Allie's. And everything else simply faded away. Part 1. Recognition and Dreams. Allie later read the orphanage letter confirming the twins' separation. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "It's true. She was my sister. If I had found her sooner, maybe she'd still be here." Jamie looked at the paper. She was always looking for something she couldn't name. Sometimes, she would just stare out, as if waiting for someone. "Maybe it was you." Skylar, Jamie and Elise's daughter, walked up to Allie and handed her a drawing. "I drew a rainbow. That's me, Daddy, and Mommy." Skylar moved closer to Allie, studying her with those same deep eyes. In a whisper, she asked, "Mommy?" Allie froze. Jamie said nothing. Skylar didn't withdraw the question. She simply placed her hand over Allie's. It was the warm, real touch of a piece of Elise. From that moment, everything shifted. In the attic, Jamie found a wooden box containing Elise's diary and 2 matching silver lockets. One had a small A engraved on the back. "I think this was yours," Jamie said, handing the locket to Allie. Allie read the diary. "Dear Alicia, I hope you find me one day. Sometimes I dream of you. We are in a field with blue flowers. You are always smiling in my dreams. Love, Elise." "She remembered me," Allie whispered. Elise had also written about her big dream, to open a school for homeless children. Viewer question. If you were in Jamie's position, Would you instantly believe the bond between Ali and Elise? Or would you be as cautious as he was? Comment your opinion. Part 2. A dream full of hope. The old community center, dingy and worn, was the place Elise had dreamed of. It needs work. Paint a new roof, Jamie said. Then let's do it, Ali replied. They started work the next day. Ali painted clouds and stars. Jamie built low shelving units. Initially, they moved cautiously, avoiding talk of the diary or the past. But slowly, the work created a rhythm. Jamie, usually distant, softened when he saw Ali teach Skylar to fold paper cranes or tie her shoes. One afternoon, Skylar handed him a photo of her mother at her graduation. She was my first teacher. Now I have another one. Weeks passed, and the classroom came to life. The smell of crayons and glue filled the room. Amidst it all, Jamie and Ali began to move at the same pace, not just as working partners, but as something more intimate. One night, Jamie found a drawing in Skylar's backpack. 3 smiling figures under a rainbow. "This is my new happiness," Skylar had written. Jamie felt something inside him, against all odds, beginning to hope again. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. Part 3. The Healing Touch. One night, Skylar woke up with a fever. Ali appeared without being called. She knelt beside Skylar, placing a cool cloth on her forehead, humming a soft lullaby. Jamie watched her. "She hasn't let anyone comfort her like this since Elise," he said quietly. "She's very brave," Ali whispered. At 3 in the morning, Skylar finally fell asleep, curled up in Ali's lap. Jamie looked at Skylar, then at Ali. "You're not replacing Elise, but you make me believe that love can return," he said. They leaned over to cover Skylar with a blanket. Their hands brushed. The touch lingered more than it should have. Not from hesitation, but from something else. Longing. Fear. Hope. They drew back, returning to the silence. But something had fundamentally changed. Part 4. In the eye of the hurricane. The rumors ignited. Teacher or imposter? The woman living in the shadow of a dead wife. The headlines were brutal. One morning, an elegant woman, Miranda Hale, an old acquaintance of Elise's, showed up at the school. I knew Elise better than anyone. Her voice was venomous. "She never mentioned a sister. Do you expect us to believe she simply forgot she had a twin?" "We were separated at age 2, Ali calmly replied. "Or perhaps you are playing a very long game, a grieving widower, a vulnerable child. It's convenient, isn't it?" The words cut Ali like ice. The next morning, she left. She left a note. "I never meant to cause chaos. I just wanted to find my sister. Please take care of her, for both of us." When Skylar realized Ali was gone, she screamed. That afternoon, at a parents' meeting, Jamie stood up. "I know what has been said, but let me tell you what I see. I see a woman who carries the same heart as the sister she lost. A woman who stayed 3 straight nights caring for my sick daughter, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. If Elise were here, I believe she too would choose Ali. Because Ali doesn't just care for my daughter, she loves her as her own." Applause spread through the room. Jamie left the meeting with a decision. He was going to fight. For the family he had now. Part 5. The Commitment in the Rain. On the first day of the new school term, Ali returned. Not out of fear, but because running away wasn't the answer. "Miss Ali!" Skylar ran to her and hugged her fiercely. "I missed you." Skylar pulled something from her pocket, the small silver locket. "This was Mommy's. I want you to have it now." Jamie walked up to them. "I was hoping you'd come today," he said. "I wasn't sure if I should." "Then let me be sure for you." He took her hand and led her behind the school, along a path that curved towards the cemetery. They stopped at Elise's grave. "You said love would find its way," Jamie murmured, one hand resting on the headstone. "I believe it just did. Elise was the beginning, but you, Allie, are the one who makes me want to continue. Jamie knelt in the wet grass. Elise gave me a life, a daughter, a reason to believe in family. But you are the one who makes me want to keep going. Allie looked at Skylar, who waited nearby under a pink umbrella. She walked over to her, knelt, and took her small hand. Skylar nodded, squeezing her fingers. Allie looked back at Jamie. Tears and raindrops mingled on her cheeks as she whispered the only word that mattered. Yes. Part 6. The Light of Elise, the Love of Allison. A year later, they married in the backyard of the school Elise dreamed of. Skylar, now 6, cut the ribbon with tiny scissors, officially opening Elise's Hope, a free school for all children. Jamie sat down at the piano and played the melody he had finally finished for them. I called this song Elise's Light, he said. Skylar looked up. Can we call it Allison's Light now? Ali, moved, spoke her vows. I came here to ask my sister for forgiveness, but I leave today with a man who loves me, not because I look like someone he lost, but because I became someone he chose, and with a child who calls me Mom with all her heart. And to the sister I never got to hug, this family is for you. As the sun set, Jamie, Allie, and Skylar walked hand in hand toward Elise's grave. Allie knelt and whispered, Thank you. Skylar placed a heart-shaped stone next to the flowers. I love you, Mommy in heaven, and I love my mommy down here too. Skylar ran off, laughing and spinning under the golden sky. They were no longer grieving. They were living. And a family, at last, was complete. Part 7. The Growing Legacy. 2 years after Jamie and Allie's wedding, Elise's Hope was no longer a small community center. It had become a respected educational model. Jamie, the CEO of Sterling BioVentures, used his influence discreetly, diverting R&D funds to support the school in technology and psychological health for the children. Thanks to this support, the school expanded, adding a computer lab, an art studio, and a therapeutic garden. One afternoon, an unexpected visitor appeared in Ali's office. Miranda Hale, the woman who had publicly defamed her. Miranda, humbled and exhausted, confessed her remorse. I used to think the world owed me something, but now I realize I owe the world. Ali, remembering her promise to create a place for children who needed more than just lessons, offered her a non-paid position as an event organizer for the school's fundraising. Miranda, Ali's former enemy, accepted. One day, Jamie took Ali to visit Elise's grave without Skylar. Do you ever feel that you're with me because I am her? Ali asked quietly. Jamie turned, took her hand, and kissed her wedding ring. I came to you because you were her, Jamie said. But I chose to stay. I love you because you are Allison. You forgave my blindness, you saved our daughter, and you turned Elise's legacy into a real light. You gave me a family that is based not on replacement, but on the duplication of love. They left the cemetery, holding hands. Ali was no longer the poor woman with the wilted bouquet. She was Allison Sterling, the woman who had found her lost sister, redeemed her brother-in-law, and become a beacon for forgotten children. Closure and call to action. What began as a simple act of leaving flowers on a forgotten grave became the start of a new family, a healed heart, and a love story written in courage and hope. Ali found more than a sister. Jamie found more than peace. And little Skylar found a world of love with 2 moms, one in heaven and one holding her hand. If this story has touched your heart, please consider supporting us. Subscribe to our channel and hit the hype button to help us continue sharing stories that transform. And remember, there is no love stronger than the one that forces you to stop running from yourself. Thank you for watching. Part wait. A heart without secrets. Mot try team kombimat. 6 years after Jamie and Ali first met, Skylar was 10 years old, a smart, loving child who had fully embraced the two mothers in her life. One afternoon, Skylar found Ali in the living room, sitting in front of Elise's old wooden box. Skylar looked curiously at the old leather diary. "Mom, Ali," Skylar asked. "Can I read Mommy Elise's diary now?" Ali smiled, her heart tightening slightly. "Not yet, sweetheart," Ali said. "There are parts of your mother's life that are a little heavy for your young heart." Skylar nodded, but her eyes were still full of longing. "I just want to know if Mommy Elise was happy when she was alive." Ali closed her eyes, recalling the diary's words. "Mommy Elise had sadness like everyone," Ali replied, embracing her daughter. "But do you know what always made her happy?" Skylar shook her head. "You," Ali said, holding her tighter. "Elise wrote a lot about you. She wrote that seeing you smile made her feel like she was standing in a field of blue flowers. She said you were her light." Tears welled up in Skylar's eyes. "And now, Mom Ali, you are my light too." It was the unconditional connection Ali had been waiting for. Skylar no longer saw her as a resemblance, but as the guardian of the light her biological mother had left behind. Part 9. Closing the door on rumor. A week later, Sterling BioVentures held its annual charity gala at a historic Seattle venue. It was the first time Ali had appeared publicly on such a grand stage with Jamie since the initial scandals. The event was proceeding normally until Miranda Hale took the podium. Miranda wasn't a guest. She was now the lead fundraising event organizer for Elise's hope. Tonight, Miranda declared to hundreds of investors and journalists, "We don't just honor the Elise Beller Foundation. We honor the truth." Miranda addressed Ali and Jamie. "I was one of the first people to spread malicious rumors about Allison Reed Sterling. I doubted the love and integrity of this family." A tense silence fell over the room. "Today, I stand here to testify. I have seen Ali's sacrifice. I have seen Jamie's commitment. And I have seen the pure love of Skylar for her lost mother and her current mother. Ali is not a replacement," Miranda said, her voice heavy with emotion. "She is our redemption, the forgiveness we didn't deserve." Jamie squeezed Ali's hand, tears streaming down her cheeks. It was the last public validation they needed. When the speech concluded, Jamie took the stage. He didn't speak of business or profit. He only spoke one sentence, looking at Ali. "You are the light Elise sent, and you taught me to love again." Skylar ran onto the stage, hugging them both, a family with no more secrets or shadows. Part 10. The Eternal Legacy. Years later, when Skylar, now 20, was a brilliant and empathetic medical student at a prestigious university, the time came for Jamie to depart. He had lived a full life, not just as a successful CEO, but as a beloved husband and father who had redeemed every mistake. In the quiet room, only Ali and Skylar were by his side. Jamie lay there, his hand gripping Ali's, their wedding rings shining under the soft light. He looked at Ali, his eyes blurred but full of love and gratitude. "Ali," Jamie whispered, his voice weak but clear. "I was a blind man, obsessed with profit. I lost Elise, but God gave me a second miracle, finding Elise in you and finding myself." He turned to Skylar. "Skylar, you are the living proof that your mother Elise won. You are the perfect blend of your mother's compassion and my effort to be better." Jamie smiled faintly. "Remember, I didn't give the company away out of obligation. I gave it away because it was the only way I could truly own your love." He took one last breath and looked straight at Allie. "Last word. I finished that piano piece. Elise's light. It was about loss. But Allison's light. It is about life. Thank you for the second life." And he passed away peacefully. Following Jamie's passing, his will was executed. His entire estate transferred to the Elise Beller Foundation. The event shocked the business world. A CEO chose social equity over personal inheritance. Schuyler, now Dr. Thorne, became the chair of the foundation's board. Allie remained the executive director, dedicating her life to the school. Every Sunday, Allie no longer went to St. Agnes Cemetery alone. She went with Schuyler, and later with her grandchildren. They placed fresh bouquets of bluebells, Elise's dream flower, on Elise's tombstone, and now on Jamie's. At Elise's grave, Ali would whisper, "You won, sister. You have a legacy that surpasses any skyscraper. I kept my promise." At Jamie's grave, Ali would smile and say, "You redeemed yourself, and you taught me that the greatest love is not the one we find, but the one we create through forgiveness." The Sterling Reed family not only wrote a love story, they wrote a lesson. The line between loss and redemption, between poverty and power, is as thin as a rain-soaked leaf, and only truth and compassion have the power to break it, creating an eternal light. Closure and final call to action. This is the definitive end of a decades-long saga, a testament to love, sacrifice, and legacy. If this story has brought peace to your heart for the last time, help us spread it. Share this video right now, and don't forget to subscribe. Comment below. What is the most important element of the Sterling Reed legacy? The foundation, or Schuyler's career choice? Your support helps us tell stories that transform. Thank you for being our best companion on this journey. Part 11. The Unexpected Bluebells. In the quiet months following Jamie's passing, Allison Allie Bell Thorne focused intensely on the foundation. The transfer of the entire company to the charitable trust meant she now oversaw the largest ethical healthcare endowment in the world. The challenge was immense, but she handled it with the same quiet strength she had shown on that park bench decades ago. One spring morning, while reviewing blueprints for a new wing of Elise's Hope, a wing dedicated to art therapy for displaced children, Allie found herself unusually distracted. She felt an inexplicable urge to visit the original small community center where their journey began. She drove to the old building. The scent of wood, paint, and old chalk still lingered. As she walked through the empty main room, she noticed something extraordinary in the small, overgrown patch of earth outside the window, the same patch where Jamie and Allie first knelt to build shelves. Poking through the damp soil, pushing past the weeds, were small clusters of tiny, vibrant bluebells. Allie stared, tears welling up. Bluebells were Elise's dream flower, the flower she wrote about in her diary, the one she saw in her dreams of her twin. They were wild, difficult to grow in this particular urban soil. And yet, there they were. She walked out and knelt beside them. She had never planted them here. Jamie hadn't. It felt like a small, final blessing from her lost sister. Elise's love was not a memory confined to a cemetery. It was a living presence, blooming in the very soil where Allie had decided to build her new life. Do you believe the bluebells were a final sign from Elise, or a metaphor for the unexpected beauty that emerges from hardship? Share your interpretation in the comments. Part 12. The inheritance of the locket. That year, Dr. Schuyler Thorne, now 30, a celebrated public health physician, was preparing for a 6-month mission to establish mobile clinics in a disaster zone. Allie helped Schuyler pack, ensuring the medical supplies were meticulously organized, a habit she had never lost. Skylar saw the silver locket around Allie's neck, the one with the E and C engravings, the locket that was originally Elise's. "Mom, Allie," Skylar said, looking at the locket. "I need you to keep that. It belongs to you. It's the perfect story." Allie reached up and unclasped it. "No, sweetie. It belongs to the one who leads with both compassion and strength. It's yours now." Skylar shook her head. "I don't need the locket. I need the compass. I need to carry the truth." Skylar reached into her own bag and pulled out a small, worn piece of silver. The small, engraved locket that originally belonged to Elise. The one with the tiny A on the back that Jamie had given to Allie when they first found the diary. "You gave me this locket years ago, Mom, Allie," Skylar said. "The A for Allison. I carried it through every year of medical school. It taught me that my life wasn't defined by loss, but by the search for belonging." Skylar then took the locket Allie had been wearing and attached it to the smaller A locket. She placed both around Allie's neck. "You carry the beginning and the continuing," Skylar declared. "You carry the legacy. I am going out there to live it." It was a profound moment of role reversal. The daughter, fully aware of the price paid for her ethical life, was now commissioning the mother to remain the grounding force. The unbroken thread, Allie stood alone at the airport gate, watching her daughter, the ethical successor to an empire, walk toward her mission. Allie didn't cry. She felt a profound, quiet strength. She reached up, touching the two silver lockets resting on her chest, the E and C locket, and the smaller A locket. The thread of love, loyalty, and redemption was not only unbroken, it was now actively being woven into the world by the next generation. Ali, the former foster child who was once paralyzed by fear, walked out of the airport with the quiet confidence of a woman who had found her purpose, honored her sister, and secured the most valuable inheritance of all, a family legacy built entirely on truth. The saga ends, but the light continues to shine. Final call to action. What a journey. If this final chapter confirms that love and loyalty are the greatest legacies, like this video and subscribe now. Comment below. What is the most important item in the Sterling Reed family's legacy? The foundation, the silver locket, or the antique watch? Thank you for following this incredible story to its beautiful end. Epilogue. The eternal light of bluebells. Years had passed since Dr. Skylar Thorne left for her mission, returning only to refuel her drive and share her hard-won wisdom. Allison Ali Bell Thorne, now fully in her role as the matriarch and ethical guardian, still maintained the rhythm of the life she and Jamie had built, the piano and the promise. Ali often found herself in the lake house, particularly during the crisp Scottish autumns. One afternoon, she sat at the grand piano, the same one Jamie had used to compose his melodies of redemption. She wasn't a musician, but she remembered the final piece he wrote, Allison's Light, a melody he said was about life. Ali gently pressed the keys, finding the first chord, a resonant, peaceful F major. As she played, she realized the true legacy wasn't the billions in the foundation or the ethical corporate policies. The legacy was the ability to feel peace in the silence. She had once been paralyzed by silence, filling it with fear and the noise of the city. Now, the silence was full of the music Jamie had written, the laughter of Skylar, and the quiet blessing of Elise. The piano, once a symbol of Jamie's guilt, and then his redemption, was now simply a beacon of home. The final gift of time. One quiet evening, Ali sat on the porch, holding the antique silver pocket watch, the one Jamie had given her as the ultimate surrender of control. She opened the watch, the mechanism still ticking with perfect precision. Engraved on the back were the words, loyalty, transparency, Time for us. She realized she hadn't needed to use its power for decades. Alex had kept his promise. He was fully present until his last breath. Allie decided the watch had served its purpose. She wrote a final instruction to Skylar, detailing that the watch, the ultimate symbol of control relinquished for love, was to be sent to the Elise Beller Foundation's new mentorship center. The watch wouldn't measure the time of any single person anymore. It would measure the collective commitment of every young woman mentored there, a reminder that their time was their most valuable asset, and they should never trade it for anything less than their own worth. The Bluebell's message: I lived many more years, dedicating her life to nurturing the seed that Elise had planted. Her final moment came peacefully, at the lake house, looking out over the misty water. The last thing she saw was a patch of wildflowers near the porch, miraculously blooming early under a gentle sun. Among them, vibrant and unmistakable, were the tiny, beautiful bluebells. It was a final, undeniable reassurance. The search was over. The promises were kept. The journey from the rusted gates of the cemetery to this peaceful resting place was complete. She had found her sister, redeemed her love, and secured a legacy of compassion for generations. The greatest testament to their love wasn't the foundation's wealth, but the enduring light of the bluebells, a promise of eternal presence blooming in the soil of forgiveness. Final call to action. The saga of the Sterling Thorne family is now complete. If this final glimpse into Ali's lasting peace has resonated with you, please leave a comment below with the word eternity to honor their unbreakable bond. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for sharing this incredible journey with me. Post-epilogue. The Living Memorial. Dai Tung Nim Sung. Years after Allison. Ali Bell Thorne passed. Her life, and the life she built with Jamie and Elise, became a cornerstone of modern ethical business and compassionate healthcare. Dr. Skylar Thorne continued to lead the foundation, always citing her two mothers as her guiding lights. The interview one afternoon. Skylar was interviewed by a major business magazine at the Global Ethics Center, the building Jamie and Allie had worked so hard to establish. The journalist, an earnest young woman, asked a final, piercing question. Dr. Thorne, the journalist began, your father, Jamie, was a successful, ruthless CEO. He almost lost everything due to his corporate mindset. Your mother, Allie, rescued him. What, in your view, was the moment of ultimate salvation? Was it when he gave up the company, or when he chose love? Skylar paused, looking out at the city skyline, the image of her parents' struggle clear in her mind. It was neither, Skylar stated, her voice carrying the quiet authority of her mother, Ali. The ultimate salvation for my father, Skylar continued, was the moment he realized that redemption wasn't a transaction. It was a daily vulnerability. It wasn't giving up the company. It was the promise he made to my mother, Ali, to never lose himself or his truth in their life together. It was the simple act of listening to her truth, day after day, year after year, without defensiveness. Skylar adjusted the locket around her neck, the symbol of the E and C legacy. My mother, Ali, didn't rescue him with love. She rescued him with an uncompromising demand for honesty. And in doing so, she rescued herself from the shadows of her own past. The reflection. The journalist, visibly moved, closed her notebook. And what about the twin, Elise? What is her final legacy? Skylar smiled, a familiar, knowing smile that echoed the faces of both her mothers. Elise's legacy is the foundation, the dream that started it all. She was the light, Allie was the lens, and my father was the resource. Together, they proved that the greatest corporate asset is not profit, but the courage to be transparently human. Skylar stood up, concluding the interview. She was living proof that the greatest inheritance is not wealth, but a well-told, honest story. The saga was complete, but the moral compass they had forged continues to guide not just a family, but an entire industry. Final call to action. This is the absolute final reflection on the profound journey of the Sterling Thorne family. If their legacy of integrity and loyalty inspires you, please share this video widely and subscribe to our channel for more stories of deep human transformation. Comment below. What single word best describes the transformation of Jamie Thorne? Redemption, loyalty, or vulnerability? Thank you for being the most loyal audience on this incredible saga.